regulation standards. How green is an air source heat pump? Well, an air source heat pump can help lower your carbon footprint as it does use a renewable natural source of heat, essentially the air. The amount of CO2 you'll save depends upon the fuel that's being replaced. So for example, it'll be higher if you're replacing electrical heating than natural gas. And again, the Energy Saving Trust's recent trials found, again, 13% of pumps tested, air source and ground source, only achieved a well-performing system, and many of these systems were also installed incorrectly. Heat pump also requires a supplementary source of power, usually electricity, to power the pump, so it still have some CO2 emissions. In general, the savings, as indicated here from the Energy Saving Trust, that you might make every year when replacing an existing heating system in your average 3-bed semi with a typical ground source heat pump installation, and assuming that it is a good, properly well-sized installation, are given in the table below here. So you have on the left existing heating system that you're going to replace, your ground source heat pump performing at 250%, so that's a coefficient of performance 2.5, or a coefficient of performance at 3. So you can see with the gas, if your performance COP is at 3, the estimate you'll save £110 per year. If you're replacing electricity, £650 a year. If you're replacing oil, £290 a year, or if you're replacing coal, solid fuel, £290 a year. So that's your savings on performance over the course of a year. If your heat pump isn't performing as well at 300%, so for example only at 250%, you can see that putting a ground source heat pump into a gas main supplied property could actually result in the homeowner actually having to pay out more money per year to heat their home. So you need to be very careful that the heat pump's properly sized and operates at its optimum at all times. So basically the zero savings means it could cost you as much to run the heat pump system as the system you're replacing. In that previous slide, average boiler efficiency were assumed, and heat pumps produce more energy as heat than they use as electricity, so their efficiency is often quoted as more than 100%. With regards to savings earnings, you may be able to receive payments for the heat you generate using your heat pump through the government's renewable heat incentive whenever that's launched. The slide's a little bit out of date here. This scheme should be launched in summer 2013. It has just been announced that it's now put off to 2014. But from August 2011, you may be able to get help with the installation costs of a ground source heat pump through what's known as the renewable heat premium payment, which is a lump sum payment. Maintenance for heat pump systems, they typically come with a 10-year warranty. You can expect them to operate for 20 years or more, but they do require regular scheduled maintenance, but there's very little required. It's just a yearly check by the user, and a more detailed check by a professional installer every 3 to 5 years should be sufficient. The Ground Source Heat Pump Association indicate that there's no need for safety checks on ground source heat pumps, and that routine maintenance requirements are typically very low. And these include preheating season checks of the water pump, external pipes, fittings and electronics. So generally low maintenance requirement. Planning permission for heat pump technologies in general in Scotland, England and Wales. Domestic ground source heat pumps are generally allowed as what are called permitted developments, but again, you should always check with the local authority to find out if planning permission is required or not. In Northern Ireland, you need to consult with the local authority regarding planning permission for ground source heat pumps at this moment in time. So to find out more, the relevant government websites, so in England, General Permitted Development Order, Scotland, Town and Country Planning, and in Wales, the Town and Country Planning, General Permitted Development. Government websites can give you an indication as to whether planning permission will be required. But in all cases, it's always worth contacting the local authority to seek clarification on whether planning permission is required in the particular vicinity where you're installing a heat pump system. And basically that concludes an introduction to heat pumps and heat pump technology. In the next section we'll look at a little bit more detail as to how heat pumps actually work.